Hey guys, welcome to Flat Top King. Hey, today is all about a battle of griddles. Not really. Look, we're just going over some really good griddles that just hit the market. We got the Traeger Flat Rock and we got the Halo Elite 4-burner. You guys sit back, watch this. All right, the reason why we chose these two griddles, they're both at the high point of the griddle category when it comes to price. They both have very, very unique features. I didn't have the Halo at the time that we did the pros and cons video, so I thought that the Traeger Flat Rock would pair perfectly with this griddle because the Halo has so many unique features. All right, first things first, we're just going to do a quick overview of features, what I like, what I don't like, what I wish they had. I'm going to try to keep this video short, so we're going to snap through them really quick. They both have your 4-caster wheels, and they both have wheels that lock. You can see the Halos are just a little bit bigger than the Flat Rocks. Love my 4-caster wheels. They both have designed their propane tanks underneath the unit. I think the Halo won on this situation because it's a heck of a lot easier to get to. I love the back part of it. For me, using a ton of propane tanks and using the griddle as much as we do, I think it's a fantastic design. It's open. I really like this design.
I think the propane tank is nice and sturdy too.
Yes, especially as much as we move them around. That's definitely a key feature. With the Traeger Flat Rock, I've had trouble out of my propane tank since day one. It's an easy fix, but I did not want to fix it until we actually did this video because I wanted to show the true nature of the griddle. It's an easy fix. I think I'll just be able to put a piece of wood in the back. It'll drive this forward and you'll never even see it. The reason why this is developed like that, there is a hanger right there. That hanger is important because that hanger is what the propane sensor works on, and we'll get to that a little bit later. As we work our way up, both these griddles act the same. All shelves break down. I think there's a couple people out there that think that the Traeger Flat Rock shelves do not fold down. That's not true. We'll just try to mimic everything that we can here today, just so you can personally see everything that we talk about. So the Traeger Flat Rock shelves do fold down. Great for storage. Same thing with the Halo, okay? Keep it in the mind of the shelves. They both have sacrificed a bottom shelf. Now that could be good or bad. We all have grown in the community together, and we always, I feel like, or stress it a lot, that having an extra cart on the outside with your griddle will help tremendously, especially with shelf space, prep tables to hold things. So even though they both have taken it off, I don't think it's the biggest bad thing that you can say about the griddle. You just get used to it. You find other places to put things. We're going to work up a little bit because it's down here and the Halo's a little bit different. The grease trap, absolutely love it. It holds a tremendous amount of grease. It's easy to get in and out. It's out of the way and it folds in there nicely. It's got 2 screws that just kind of lock in. With a Halo, it snaps out like this. I actually don't use a lot of the containers that come with any of my griddles because I have so many griddles. I would have 400 containers. But it snaps back. You can take the container out. If you notice this lip, it fits right underneath your grease trap, like this. And these just fit right up in there. It's not as convenient as the Traeger, but it gets the job done. I'm not a big fan of the hinge style. That's just personally my opinion. When you're talking about the grease trap, we're talking about locations, right? One's in the front, one's in the back. So we're gonna raise the lid up. There's your home run spot for the grease trap. A lot of people seem to like to push their grease away from them. Being from a commercial style griddle experience in the military, we always had our grease coming forward, so it's not a big deal to me. The Flat Rock has their grease trap right here. I don't like the location right there. I don't mind it being forward, but what I don't like is the fact that it seems like it's in my sweet spot every single time. Being right-handed, I sweep food from right to left. There has been many times that food has went down there. That's just a part of it. It does get hot from the heat from underneath, but I don't feel that. The griddle is already hot to begin with, so it's nothing that sticks out more than normal, okay? So those are your 2 competing options. Which grease trap do you like? Could that be the decision that puts you over the edge of one of these griddles? That's something you'll have to determine. We're going to get to the measurements later, but I think I've got a really good visual for you. We all kind of either liked or disliked the bread test that I've been doing lately, just to show you how the griddle responds to certain temperatures. For the highest price point, the base price of this is $9.99 at the time of this video. It is a true 4-burner. It's an extremely large 4-burner for the griddle top. One thing I think that gets lost in the mix, if people complain about the Traeger being a 3-burner. I agree. Being $8.99, you think that you should have a true 4-burner. So one of the things that I get asked a ton, along with my opinion, is you're not sacrificing that much space, okay? This, to me, is a very, very, very large 3-burner. As you can see, I think the visual helps. You're not sacrificing that much space. So I wouldn't deter you getting a 3-burner versus a 4-burner with these two models because they are so similar. I want you to remember this, because when we come back to temperatures, I want you to visually remember this griddle being on that grill. The Halo has an incredible interior design. It has 8 burners, okay? All 8 burners can be on at once, or you can turn them to where only half the burners are on, but you can only turn on the front burners. The back burners cannot stay on without the front burners being on. Halo prides themselves in the fact that you have 8 zones to cook with, okay? You can fire up all 4 burners, or you can do 1 front burner, 1 front burner. There's a lot of configurations to go on with it. You've got little peepholes right here to be able to tell you if the fire is on or off. Not a big fan of those, as bad as my eyes are. Yeah, you can see blue flames, but to be able to see if both eyes are on, that's a little troublesome. The Halo has a leveling kit. It is something that they have designed. Although I think it's a great feature, I just don't use it a lot. I can't use it at all, to be honest with you, because I move my griddles around so much. The way my deck is positioned, one board can be up higher than the other. If I film with the hood open like this, then if I level it and then tomorrow I turn the griddle around and take the hood off, then I'm vice versa. So I don't level mine all the time. So remember that one as well, because that's very important when we go to the Traeger. Matter of fact, let's go to it now, because I want to keep it equal. Because I feel like that is something that you're paying for, right? Same thing with the propane. Remember how we talked about this hangs on the propane sensor? This is where you get the power from. This is where the power cord will tuck in the back. You can plug it in. You've also got a manual switch right here. This is your igniter. Just like your Halo griddle has a battery, this has a battery. This controls the igniter, okay? You do not have to run, this is another one that I've seen a lot. You do not have to run the Traeger with power. I don't run mine with power at all. There's no cord hooked up to it right now. What the propane sensor does is once you calibrate it, when you get it, it shows you instructions. You would turn it on. I'm not doing it because it's not plugged in. And then it'll show you 5 different steps of how low your propane's getting, 5 being full. And every time it goes down, your propane is getting lower and lower. That is a feature that's built in. The reason why I say that is because just because a griddle has a feature doesn't mean it benefits you. So when you look at the package or when you're going over the features, there's going to be certain things that pop out to you that absolutely just like, man, I've got to have that. And there's other things you're going to look at and say, you know, I don't care if the griddle has that or not. To me, I like the feature. I just hate the fact that I can't use it. Same thing with the Halo with the leveler, okay? Now that we're doing this, I just want to keep it even, okay? So we're going to go back on a couple comments that we've seen. We've heard that, or we've read that the Traeger is so much smaller compared to the Halo because the Halo is just a beast. It's huge. It's massive. The reality is that when you have experience on multiple grills, Camp Chef, Weber, Pit Boss, Traeger, Halo, you learn a few things.
Blackstone.
Thank you.
All of them.
So this is 71 inches from the inside shelf to the inside shelf, okay? 71 inches. Really quick. So from inside to inside is about 68.5 inches, okay? Depending on where you measure it from, it's not a big deal, okay? The shell's deep, depending on where you measure it from. I'm just gonna go on the inside instead of the outside is 20 inches. And then these are handles. We can get to that in a second. We talk about the griddle, it's 13.5. So 20 by 13.5. This is 22.5. It's one of the largest shelved units we've ever experienced on a griddle. And this is 17.5. Okay. With Traeger, they have the option of adding these on. They're little baskets. They snap onto the rail system. absolutely love this design. I wish I could keep it up all the time. Unfortunately,
So these rails.
yes, unfortunately I break down my griddles when I move them. So if there's anything in there, it falls out. So typically I don't use it as much as I can. On this side, you can put it anywhere you want to. Since I'm right-handed, paper towels are easily accessible on the right side. There's a paper towel holder. Now the reason why that's important, because I feel like that just enlarges your space as well. Because you don't have to have the paper towel holder. You can have your basket in the front, the basket on the side. You might be able to, we've never done it, but you might be able to put 2 baskets. I don't know if you can, but that could be an option. So that really, really, really negates the fact that you don't have the underneath shelf for space. These shelves are absolutely massive. I love the fact that they're that big. They're heavy duty, and they do not get hot when your griddle's cooking. I want to reiterate that. For some reason, it could be the height or whatever, they do not get hot when the griddle's cooking. Now, if you have something higher, your heat will penetrate through there, like a bottle of water or something like that. But your shelves stay cool, okay? Depending on what configuration you have your griddle on, these shelves do get a little warm, even with the space there. Most shelves do get warm, so that's just something that you learn to deal with. Not a big deal, right? It's not a make it or break it. Since we're talking about the shelves, these are little detachment hooks for the Halo. These kind of just come right out, and they actually hook up to your griddle, and it allows you to be able to remove the griddle plate. Why is that important? 2 things. I think we all can agree now, universally, that the griddle plate is probably the thickest piece of metal that we've ever experienced on a griddle. It's extremely dense. It's probably heavier and thicker and retains more heat than griddle that we've ever cooked on. That's important. We'll get to that later. The reason why the handles are important is because this unit right here can actually fold up and be transportable, okay? Your legs have little pins. They'll fold up like an accordion, so it'll save some space while you're not using it. It's not completely flat, but it gets a pretty good job. I would recommend taking your griddle plate off, and then all of a sudden, 2 people, one on one side, one on the other. When the lid's closed, the shelves are down, you can actually transport this unit. It comes off the legs. For some people, for tailgating, for camping, for RVing, that's huge, because now you have 2 in 1. You don't have to move the whole thing at once. And if we get underneath here, we'll show you. See the little tabletop legs right here? You don't even have to have the legs to go with you. You can keep the legs here, and then this is your tabletop method. Piggybacking off of this right here, this also doubles as a utensil hook. One thing I forgot to mention, I do not have them, but Traeger has the option when you have the rail system that they have hooks that hook to this, and then you can hang your equipment off of there, okay? As big as unit as this is, it's just because you're able to cook on more griddles, you gain a lot more appreciation for certain things. I do wish it had the bigger tables. I'm a table fan. I feel like it helps me through a video a lot easier because everything's mise en place. I don't have to worry about it being somewhere else. So for that, I got to give the shelves a Traeger. The size, it is a little bit taller, but since this is sunken in a little bit more, it's really not that huge of a difference. If you go to the bottom of the plate, you're probably looking at 36 inches, not to the top of the plate, because this doesn't matter. You got to go inside the griddle. That's where your food's at. Probably 36 inches. Same thing with here. Inside the plate, it's probably 36 inches. So although the Halo looks bigger and people say it's huge, so far it hasn't really translated in that. There's not that big of a discrepancy when it comes to how big that is versus how quote unquote small the 3-burner is. If you notice, I don't have the hood on my Traeger. There's no reason to for me. I'm in a covered area and you can't use the hood. Halo, and I could be wrong, but I know for a fact they've come to the market. They might be first to the market with the insulated hood. That was one of the biggest driving reasons. That and the amount of burners I can have on at once was the driving force to me get this griddle. I really love the fact that you could close this lid while it's in operation and you're not worried about your lid warping or causing damage. We did a smoker video where we created, since you can use this for heat, we did a smoked meat video. You guys can see this thumbnail right here. We're going to do pizzas pretty soon. There's baked dishes that I think we'll be able to produce on here because of the ability of the heat to penetrate up, have the lid closed, and now all of a sudden you've got that 360 convection style heat that I've always wanted into a griddle. Touching the lid, you can see right here that we've actually got a cooling rack or a warming rack, depends on how you look at it. All right, once you find your locking pins, you can see it right there, and you can use it while it's closed or open. The one thing I found, it was completely my fault. I hope we can get a good video of this. So just so you're aware and you're careful. Although I like it, it can get dirty, and I'll show you why. When I put the meats up here and basted them and all that stuff, you still have your grease dripping down. The problem is when it drips down, it doesn't drip down on your griddle completely. So it actually drips down on the back of your, all down the back of here. It was dripping on my deck. And since it was the first time I used it, I wasn't paying attention. I should have had that product a little bit more forward, but there's not that much room to give away with either. So that's kind of a negative. You turn a good into a positive or a negative. What you're going to learn is you're going to find cool little pans and dishes inside your house that you're going to easily be able to elevate the food up, and it can alleviate some of that problem. Holding toast, bread, simple things like that, not a big deal. You can find a workaround. Just be cautious about that one. Now that we know where the features side to side, I wanted to go over a section kind of like the idea of right versus wrong, or what you guys have been commenting based on your experiences. And I just want to clear the air for both parties. I have no affiliate with both parties. I got the Traeger for free, and I bought the Halo. Okay, so this is just based on my personal experience with every single griddle brand that you could possibly imagine, along with the knowledge that we've gained over time to compare the two models. Okay, so this is where it gets really deep. In the first video we only did a seasoning video. The Halo got extremely hot, and I warned everybody, if you do it like this, the griddle gets extremely hot, ridiculously hot. Like, it doesn't need to get that hot, okay? Because we were seasoning. That's not cooking, it's different. The one thing I did forget to mention when we were talking about the propane tanks was this has a water column. 9.5 is when it's in this mode. That's 11. When you have it on the 9.5, you're supposed to be able to lower the temperature. Every single time that I've cooked on this, besides the seasoning, I've had it on 9.5. Why? Because this griddle retains so much heat and it has so much power that it gets extremely hot if you're not careful in how you work your stations, okay? I think, in my opinion, this is what separates the two the most. Okay, because all the other things are kind of like quirks here, quirks there. This has it, this doesn't. One of the comments that I wanted to address that seems to be floating around quite often is the Halo is not for beginners. It takes an experienced cook to use it. Although I understand the philosophy, I understand where people are coming from, I kind of attribute it to like the exact opposite. If you've never experienced something and you can learn the right way, then you don't have any bad experiences to compare it to, and maybe your journey is quicker than others. The reason why I say that, I'm not a fan of the way the system's set up because I'm so experienced with other griddles. I'm maybe like hard-headed in that way. I enjoy a different style of method. This one is really geared to zone cooking, right? It's got an incredible high heat, something that most griddles do not have. I don't think another griddle out there can reach the temperatures that this has. But there's not many foods that you can cook on at that temperature, okay? The reason why the griddle gets so hot is because there's so much power and there's so many burner configurations. When you have them all on, it really takes a couple cooks to get used to it. You have to understand when to turn your temperatures off and on. The guide says it's 300 to 750. You're never going to hit 300 degrees. The only time you will hit 300 degrees is catching the griddle on the rise or alternating your burners and using zone cooking. You cannot expect to hit low temperatures on low on this griddle when all burners are on. It's impossible. Once you add your food, it will lower the temperature down the griddle. It'll obviously, as thick as this griddle is, we just talked about it, it's the thickest on the market, has an extremely fast response rate. You're able to recoup that temperature loss faster, and for some, that's exactly what they want. When they do smash burgers, they like to be able to smash about 5 or 6 burgers down And then once they take them up, they like to go right back at them. Some griddles can't handle that. Sometimes it takes a couple minutes for that temperature to come back up. This Halo is not like that. It's very powerful, very strong, and that's what makes it unique in its situation. When we talk about the Traeger, I feel like it's almost like the opposite end of the spectrum. You'll hear people say, every single griddle gets hot on low. That's not true. The Weber doesn't, and this doesn't. This runs hotter than the Weber, but it also has a better high-end temperature, which is why I enjoy it. People know that I've openly and honestly, when they've communicated with me, said, if you had a chance to pick a griddle right now, what would it be? The Traeger, in my opinion, leads the pack because it's set up for what I enjoy, okay? It's got the 4 caster wheels. I can fold the tables down and get it out of the way. I'm really upset it doesn't have a lid you can use. Do I wish it had that Halo lid? Absolutely. There's no doubt about it. Getting back to this, I haven't found that the lack of the 3-burner versus 4-burner has affected me. You know, I use my Weber all the time because I love the low heat, but it's an extremely small 3-burner, right? It's not even in these 2 models. I love the fact that I can come on here or come out here, turn it on low, and I can prep my ingredients. And I'm not worried about what preheat time I've got on my Halo. I'm not worried about what high-end temp I'm going to hit. It's going to cruise low. Both of these griddles are based off of zone cooking, okay? If you did the bread test and did it completely different than me, you could turn low, medium, and high, let it preheat for 10 or 15 minutes, throw your bread down, and you're going to see a massive difference in temperature on your bread, right? It's going to be light, medium, and dark. That's what I enjoy. I enjoy what I call true zone cooking. I think when the
The dog.
I think when the griddle, when it goes back to zone cooking, I'm going to give you an example. When you use your griddle, and people say, well, you have to learn how to manage your griddle. I completely agree. Every single griddle is different. It has its own unique hot spots. But if I know I can have all the burners controlled at a certain temperature on low, then I adjust the griddle to compare to what I want. The Halo is so uniquely different that it will take time to understand, and you don't have that luxury, right? If I turn both of these eyes all the way on low, this section right here is easily going to hit 450 to 500. The benefit of this is you have so many unique opportunities and configurations. You can turn these 2 eyes on and leave this whole griddle a little bit cooler. So yeah, you can cook your steaks here and your eggs here, your hash browns and your pancakes like we did in our big video. But you're not able to use your whole griddle uniformly like you are the Traeger. And I think that's why I give it the nod. It has nothing to do about performance or anything like that, like high-end performance. Most things that you cook, you just need enough heat to cook it. If you can imagine an oven on the inside, what's the average temperature for your oven on the high spot? 500. Anything above that, most things don't get cooked. You very rarely use broil. Same thing with this. That's why I give it the nod. It's the low cruising style that I enjoy. And then when I need to turn the heat up, I've got the heat there. With all the rambling that I just did, okay? It's important to distinguish the difference in the griddles because they are on the high end, right? I want you to be confident in your decision on what you make. To close it out, we're just going to turn the griddles on low, okay? I'm going to turn all 8 burners on low. I'm going to get a 15-minute preheat time, okay? I'm going to turn all 3 burners on here on low on 15, and we're just going to shoot the gun, okay? And all it's going to show you is a visual representation of why each griddle is different in its own unique right? This has so much power. You can work your zones. You can have the high-end power, but how often are you going to use it? And this is going to be a cruising, steady, low temperature, about 380, maybe to 390, and this is going to reach about probably 550. All right, we're going to turn the Traeger on first, just because that way nobody can say I turned the Halo on first and ruin the whole video. So like I said, you don't have to have it plugged in.
It is not plugged in.
One thing about the Halo, if you're interested, remember the front burners have to be turned on first. Okay? Then once you turn it down, it releases the gas and it automatically will naturally funnel to the back burners. Okay. So then you just turn it on low. You do not have to hit your ignition button again. And now we're all 8 burners on low. All right, the timer just went off, and even before any representation of the gun, you can see that this griddle is already in the seasoning process, which means it's already hitting that seasoning temp of the oil, and we use a high temp oil, okay? Now, we turn the Traeger on first, just in case there's anybody out there that said, oh, I did it wrong. So let me go over here. I'm just going to shoot it really quickly. So you'll hear people say, well, you need to add food for it to cool down. Well, that would be the same on every single griddle. And then over here, so we're hovering around, I don't know what's wrong with there we go. So right at that low 400s, high 300s. So about 100 to 115 to 20 degree difference. That's why it's important to learn your zone cooking when you buy this griddle. That's why one reason why I enjoy this griddle, because when it's on low, it just doesn't seem like it builds as fast. And when I'm filming, that's important to me because I can control the temperatures as I need them. Okay? But most people out there don't film, which is why I don't have the hood on, because I need to turn it around. But I'm going to season this since it's already on the seasoning process anyways. I can throw a coat of oil in there and be good to go. In a nutshell, that's a quick rundown of these two fantastic griddles. It really comes down to what you see yourself doing. What do you see yourself cooking, how you enjoy your outdoor experience, and what griddle offers each for you. It's just a different cooking style that separates the two, really the biggest that I can explain. If you guys are interested, we have a join button down below. It's a membership program. We thank each and every one of you for taking time for doing so. Check us out on the Griddle Group on Facebook, where these two iconic beasts go head all the time, and which is why we did this video. Which one do you like? Which one do you prefer? What about this? What about that? And of course, we include all the griddles together. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to press that subscribe button, pound the notification button, share it with your friends. Peace.